Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Flora, a beauty and wellness reporter at Glossy. Next up, we're going to be talking to Paul Michaux, the co-founder of custom hair care brand Prose. If you have any questions for Paul, be sure to submit them in the chat. They're also testing the fire alarms right now in my apartment. So that's always fun with Zoom. Anyways, I will just mute myself if that happens. But hi, Paul, welcome and great to have you here today.
Hey, Liz, hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Where are you based right now?
I'm based in Brooklyn, in New York right now. Bit of a storm outside, but, slowly going into fall, and I love it.
Well, the weather's great in LA. Are you going back into the office these days? What are you guys planning?
Yeah, so I'm actually back at the office. Like no one is required to be back in our HQ here in New York, but we allow like vaccinated people to come back in if they want.
Great. Well, let's get into talking about Prose. In the beauty world, we are all very familiar with Prose, but for the audience, do you want to just start by introducing the brand? Why did you start it? What is the concept? What kind of products do you offer?
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. So Prose is a beauty company. We aim to start a new standard basically in beauty, and the whole starting point is like how can you combine hyper personalized technology and like beauty and supply chain to come up with custom products for our consumers. So we really try to steer away from like how the beauty industry is usually like working and creating products for target audiences. And we want to come back to an individual level, understand like everyone's unique needs and desires, and making sure that we come up with a product specific to their needs and to like what they want to achieve. So we're a direct-to-consumer business. If you don't know us, please go on Prose.com. You'll be invited to fill the consultation, which is roughly like 25 questions. We'll ask you questions about your hair, your scalp, where you live, your environmental factors, and we'll take everything into account to come up with your best and custom hair care products. So we'll create a custom shampoo for you, a conditioner, a hair mask. Like we develop a lot of new custom products that have never been on the market before, such as like the first custom made ever dry shampoo or custom hair oil. And again, depending on your needs, depending on your desires, depending on what we understand from you and from our consultations, we'll come up with the perfect routine and the perfect custom products.
And who would you say your target demographic is?
Yeah, it's always like a great question. Like, I think the beauty of being custom is allow us to really like speak to a lot of different consumers. We're able to be niche without being niche, so we can come up with vegan products. We can come up with products for like again different kind of specific populations who maybe don't want hair fragrance, who don't want like silicone. But at the end of the day, we really try to cater to everyone. So if we take a step back, the demographic that we're tackling are overall like conscious consumer, people of course interested in hair care, who wants to purchase from a sustainable brand with clean products made with mostly natural ingredients, and that are really trying to come up with the best hair and scalp that they can have.
So let's get into this customization model in more detail. What are the logistics of bringing a production process like this to life?
Yeah, it's no small feat. So we, again, we're a direct-to-consumer business, and I think this is something that is really important to keep in mind, is that like we're not direct-to-consumer just so that like we can slash the middleman or not have a retailer in the loop. We're direct-to-consumer because we really have a good reason to be, which is we need to be in touch with our customer. We need to be in touch with, again, like what are their needs, what are their desires, so that we can understand them and come up with the perfect formula. So you go on Prose.com, you fill this 25-question consultation. We'll ask again for questions that are like more related to your hair, that are expected, like what's your hair length, like what's your hair texture, do you do any treatment to your hair, and then we'll go over to more your lifestyle too, such as we take into account what's your zip code, so that we understand, the environmental factor that can have an impact on your hair and your scalp, like your water hardness, pollution, humidity, UV exposure. All these different elements are going to be used in order for us to come up with your perfect formula and routine. So we collect this information. We have proprietary algorithm that are going to select the right ingredients in our library of ingredients that we developed. We then created a custom back office system and a custom automation system in our factory based in Brooklyn to basically, really on demand create these products one by one. Once the customer purchases it, create it on the go, pack it, and ship it to the customers.
And are there any challenges in this model compared to a mass-produced typical shampoo?
Of course, I think we have challenges, and it requires for us a massive investment at first when it comes just to create the perfect customer experience to collect this information. So, a lot of people actually don't really know what's even their hair texture is. So we need to come up with an experience that feels great for them, that they can answer these questions, because we need to collect the right data to come up with the right product. So I think from a UX and digital product first, our platform, our e-commerce website is really different than any kind of other e-commerce websites. You don't come there, you don't have a library of product pages, and you don't go through the product pages oh, I want to buy this or subscribe to that. So we really need to basically build the product with you. So this is a whole set of challenges. And then of course, when it comes to more the operational side of the business, we really had to come up with not only a custom back office to create this formula on the go, but also how do we going to be able to scale this production facility? What kind of machine can we build, and robotization and automation can we build, so that we really reinvent the supply chain and the whole way to create beauty products more in a way that for us is sustainable, that it's also better for the customer, and that we're trying to achieve with Prose.
And I noticed your company mentions it also uses machine learning. Can you describe more what that means and how that factors into the production process?
Yeah, totally. So, the beauty of our system is not only the ability to create custom formula, but it's also to be able to receive feedback on the formula. So if you think about a traditional beauty company, usually we would put a product into production, work with a retailer, and then it will be a very long time before they can have any feedback from a consumer, because they don't own the consumer data. They can't really get in touch with them. So the feedback loop is a little complex there. For us, not only we come up with the initial consultation that will come up with a formula, but also we'll build this new proprietary system that is called Review and Refine, which you can go back on the website, give us a feedback, and this feedback will automatically improve your formula. So let's say that we're entering into fall, your hair is less exposed to UV exposure, so we can change the formula keeping this in mind. Humidity might change, so we'll also adapt the formula with that in mind. But also you maybe want just you change your haircut and want more volume, or you want more shine. So these are the things that we can gather, fine tune your formula, and use basically all the data that we collect from all our customers, so that we create a network effect, not only to make your formula better, but everyone else's formula better. And this is where we apply more deep data analysis to understand what are the common characteristics of few of our customers, what are the common characteristics of some of their formula, and how can we guide our research, how can we gather algorithm development to make it better.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of data and insights on what customers are looking for. What are some of the trends you're seeing? What are people's biggest hair concerns?
Yeah, well, it's funny because beyond sort of the characteristic that we can see with people, always want more shine, always more volume. Really, the key of our system is not trying to limit them to one or a few characteristics. So if you think about the real world, you might have a shampoo for dry hair and another conditioner for colored hair, and then you have one for curly hair. And basically, I don't know, if you have a little bit of all these different needs and characteristics, you're not going to end up buying 5 different shampoos or conditioner to get to your goal. So we really try to have this holistic approach, which is trying to understand the customer in its totality, what's your damage score when it comes to your hair. how is your scalp is, and coming up with all this information to come up with the perfect formula. I'm not limiting ourselves to just like, oh, most of the people have damaged hair, or we see more people like getting their hair colored, or less people getting their hair colored during the pandemic. We see some interesting things, like definitely stress is going higher. We see people changing the way they use their product, the time that they want to invest in themselves with this pandemic, the time that they, a moment of shower maybe in the past were just like, let's, like get this done and like jump into my day to day. And we see more and more people trying to have that sort of self-care moment and to ritualize this a little bit more. So very interesting trends and social trends. But when it comes to hair, we really want to take everything into account.
And what about when it comes to the optional features? I saw that you have silicone free, you can choose vegan, a bunch of different options. What are you seeing people choose when it comes to these optional categories?
Yeah. So fragrance is always like like something that like people are excited about and want to change. So we Corsica, which is one of our cool and fresh, not French, sorry, fragrances is definitely something that, like we see more and more people opting into and being very interested in. I think for summer it was absolutely lovely. We have like more full like fragrance coming soon that we're going to be releasing. We do see like a like a good number of people opting for silicone-free products. We are de facto always fat free, of course, which makes it like safe for colored hair. But again, like what's interesting for us is just that we try to like any kind of need or any kind of desire is something that like Prose wants to be able to achieve. So like there is no too small ask or there is no too big ask. So we do see people opting for silicone free. We do see people opting for vegan option. But overall, we just see more and more people like paying more attention of what's getting into the product and wants to have a bit more transparency, wants to have like, more natural products, want to understand like how does that work. So all this, we try to do our best to be transparent. So we're a big corporation, which is something that is really important for us. So again, being transparent into like the formula, like how we come up with these ingredients and for what reason, and the reason why like your desires are going to be like fulfilled by that product or by ingredients is also super key.
So let's talk about the pandemic. A lot of DTC personal care brands saw a surge in sales when the pandemic hit. Where are consumers at now? Are they still ordering hair care online? Have many of them made a permanent switch in their habits?
Yeah, we definitely saw this interesting trend, right? Where, I mean, every kind of direct consumer business or e-commerce business. So I would say a leap forward when it comes to e-commerce over the pandemic. We don't really see that slowing down. We see, of course, some fluctuation with iOS 14. We see some fluctuation with the supply chain and I would say more the broad environment, but the consumer demand is really here. And when we see the trajectory that we're having, like there is no slow there. We just really think that like more and more people are trying to find like brands that are eco-conscious, that are going to be able to like not only fulfill individual needs, but also like take care of our planet and our ecosystem and our society. So Prose is really uniquely positioned when it comes to that. Again, as a B Corp, we also know like officially a PBC, and the demand, like, and thank God, the demand is going to only keep on increasing for these kind of products in these companies.
And what about the pandemic's effect on the production side? How has that affected supply chain?
Yeah, we're lucky that like we're really like from day one trying to localize as much as we can our supply chain. So we're less dependent on like some international situation. We see some of that for sure. But I think that like for us to have our factory based in Brooklyn, for example, was something that was really important to us to, again, as a B Corp, trying to bring like manufacturing jobs back in the cities. So I would say we're shielded a little bit from like the bigger fluctuation than some other like businesses might like experience. But of course, like it's a challenge for everyone. Like safety is top of mind. Like how do you handle like people working in a factory, like still with COVID, with the Delta variant. So yeah, of course, it's still a challenge for everyone.
And how about scaling during this time? How do you scale up a business when all of these changes are happening?
Yeah, it's a fun ride. Like you get to hire a lot of people through Zoom that you finally meet in person like a year after. I think that for us the challenge was, again, like not so much like trying to meet the demand or not so much trying to like come up with new product. Like we have great fundamentals there, but just like really scaling our team, scaling our culture. So we made great hires. Like we hired like our first CMO, Megan Streeter. We hired our first CFO too, and all adding this sort of like seniority and like people around us to like really help us to like see in the future, understand like how you go from a team of like low 100 to like close to 200, and how do you like keep everyone organized and focus on the right goals and the right mission. These are the things that like are just really natural for our growth direction, and that will just make it a little more fun when you're all remote and not being able to be in the same room.
And we've seen during the pandemic a lot of brands getting into same day delivery apps. Do you think
Yeah,
there's any impatience among consumers for delivery speeds? And how do you handle with as a customer?
yeah, it's breaking up. I don't know if it's on my side, but like
Oh, no.
I got the question around like like shipping delivery, and I think great things take time. And at some point, we're gonna have to, as a society, understand like, what are the trade-off between having things right now and like how does that impact our planet? How does that impact our like again society at large? People working towards that goal, and is it really needed to have this product on the same day? So. I think in everything that we're doing as a big corp, we're always trying to balance like what is the customer need, and of course being extremely customer centric, trying to understand like really how can we solve for that challenge, but also keeping in mind like our planet, the environment, and like what is good for us moving forward as just human beings. So I think same-day delivery like could make sense, could have a low impact, but for us it's just like not something really first that we hear from customer as such of a need. I think that they understand the process of customization. That can take a little bit more time. They understand our engagement when it comes to become, we're carbon neutral certified, so that like we're trying to not use airplanes to ship the same product on the same day from New York to LA. And I think people are okay with that, understanding it. We try to come up with also digital feature to make it like more easy to get your product on time, such as your subscription that you can snooze or like arrange your shipping as much as you want, and for flexibility there. So again, it's about like making the right choice for the customer, and really also keeping our in mind like the planet, the ecosystem, and how much are we like sacrificing this for the sake of like getting your product into your hand like a little faster.
And what about retail? We've seen Target get into custom hair care. Are you talking to any retail partners right now or considering it?
Yeah, it is not something that we're actively exploring. Like we at the beginning we were talking about like direct to consumer. I think that we see a lot of direct to consumer companies that honestly could be good retail companies now, even more than Facebook. Like it, yeah, probably like a couple of years ago, you could say that you're cutting the middleman and you're going through Facebook, but like everyone knows today that like Facebook is the new middleman, that like cost of acquisition are like rising. So you need to have a very good reason to be direct to consumer, and not to go retail. And I think that we have a very good reason to be, and that's something that we want to keep on exploring, keep on like building around. So really focusing on that for now, on our e-commerce capabilities, on meeting the demand where it is, and again like offering this kind of new digital experience to come up with the best physical products.
And let's talk about new features you've added. You recently added a review and refine component to product feedback.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I touched on this a little bit, but everyone needs like change, and everyone desires change. And again, what really is key when we talk about data is just like how can we make sure that the product is the right one, basically, and that like the data that we're collecting makes sense for us to keep on growing as a company, to keep on like offering the best product. So when we thought about that, the initial consultation was step one. let's come up with a holistic consultation to create these custom products. And then we see like a lot of people, of course, like repeating on our products because they're satisfied about it. And I think this is a unique opportunity for us to keep on learning more. And of course, like every website will send you like, so like give us a review and like, please like what's your comment, like give us 5 stars and like say great things about us so that we can put this on the landing page on our ad. And a lot of the time, this kind of process benefit really the company, but not so much the customer. And we were thinking about this and we're like, okay, like it's really tedious to go through like manual reviews and like, trying to understand like what makes sense there for our business. So we really scaled that with review and refine. We created this other consultation. We gathered the feedback of the consumers in a structured way. And this is like really, creating this second data set that we can understand and deep dive into. And for the first time, you as a customer, you actually have a great benefit into giving a review, is that like your product is actually going to be better. And really trying to like build this network effect of like the data that we're collecting from people who purchase and use the product should help us to also like keep on improving the first purchase order of the new customer joining. And this is really what we're investing.
And we have a question from the audience, and just for everyone in the chat, be sure to ask your questions if you would like Paul to discuss. Do you see a lot of customers requesting new blends, or do they mostly stick with their initial custom one created?
Yeah, so we do it like automatically for them. So a couple of ways where that could happen. We have our R&D, based in Paris. We have our own lab, so we're truly like vertically integrated. And our chemists will come up with a new ingredient or like something that would really help for certain kind of need. So we will like sort of like release a new version of our algorithm and new exchange for the customer that could be impacted. So it's always a work in progress. Like what we see also in beauty is that your skin, your hair get used to one kind of product. So it is usually good to also change it and to like again fine tune it depending on your needs. If your hair is very dry and if you buy a product that's sold for dry hair, at some point you need to change your product for something else if this product is working. And that's what we do automatically for the customer to trying to come up with the most seamless experience.
And I see you've been widening your range of products. How does Prose decide which new products to introduce, and how do you maintain the custom model when introducing the new products?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, again, it's about like coming back to the customer need and trying to really understand like what are we trying to solve there and what are they struggling with. So when we come up with the first custom dry shampoo, our understanding was that like the custom, we didn't invent dry shampoo, right? Dry shampoo was there way before us, as everyone knows, and it's always very convenient to have a product that you can put in your bag and just like when you're out of the gym, like spray your hair quickly, or when you don't have time in the morning to take a shower, just like spray some dry shampoo there. The problem with this, most of these products are just that they're usually using alcohol, usually like pretty high in sort of what we call VOCs, which are basically chemicals that you don't really want to breathe and like be around too much. So we try to come up with a product that will not have this, which again is our custom dry shampoo, something that will also enable you to solve for different scalp needs. And it was just about like, okay, there is the demand is here, like we know we can come up with this product. These are successful products in the world, and like we can see that like just looking at sales of other companies, but it really makes sense to make it custom and would that make a better product. And if we can answer that to that question, then R&D is working on it to like bring it to life.
All right, and we have time for a few more questions. We've also seen a lot of customization in the skincare space. Would you ever consider expanding into other categories?
Yeah, we, like again, like we're a beauty company. Like Haircare is definitely something that we're doing and doing well today. But coming back again to just your question about like what are the product that makes sense, like of course we're listening to our customers and what they're asking from us, and we're just like looking at different kind of other verticals that we could bring like our unique model and our unique like backend infrastructure and like automation infrastructure to come up with better products for them and that also are better for our environment and planet.
And what do you have planned for international expansion? We have someone in the comments who really wants to know if you'll be available in Canada.
This is a great question. Again, that's a customer who wants us in Canada. We'll look into it and we'll try to make it work.
And what are your thoughts on how far this custom D2C model can spread? How many industries can use this model?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Originally, I'm a big believer into looking for inspiration that is outside of your, environment. And what we see is that customization first was something that was really like the norm back in the days. When you think about like the apothecary era, what we see is that mass production, is an anomaly of just like the way we use products, and that was enabled in the 50s with like new ways of thinking about our industry and our factories. But before that, like most of the products were unique basically, and we try to come back. So it's just better for the customer. It's just better again for the environment. And we see other industry doing this for a while. Like even if you think about automaker, for example, cars are also being built with this system in mind. So our hope is that more and more companies will go the custom route, not always for not only for a better product for the customer, but also like to limit waste, to limit the number of inventory and products that are not going to be sold or not going to be used, to have a bit more of an on-demand production that limit our stock inventory, that at the end of the day, limit the number of products that is getting trashed because it's not being sold.
Great. And then I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. What about sustainability? As you mentioned, you're a B Corp. How do you approach sustainability with your packaging?
Yeah, so we really like trying to find different solutions when it comes to just like the plastic that we're using, trying to find like where is the right material. So glass, for example, in the shower is not something that we really want to be having. It's also like heavier to ship. So we always try to balance like where is the right solution and like how can we keep on finding better solution for our customers. So of course you have recycled plastic now. You have like recycled program management that we're looking into. And the other area that are interesting for us are like refills. So it's about like working closely with our partners, trying to find the right partners that are really like bringing qualitative recycled plastic in our industry, and like really trying to stay away as much as we can from non-recycled material.
Great. And then I think maybe this will be the final question. What is next for Prose in the coming year? What are your goals? What do you have planned? Do you have any product announcements coming out?
Yeah, we have a lot of announcement coming on. I cannot say too much to that right now, or like everyone back at the office will yell at me, but it's burning me to tell you more. But definitely super thankful for our customers and like all the people who are like purchasing and using Prose and are giving us like feedback, not only that are really happy with using it, but also telling us how we can keep on improving things, how we can open new markets like Canada, like today, or like look into like other verticals that you mentioned. So again, like trying to do the choices that make sense for our customers, make sense for our planet, and at the end of the day, keep on growing this company the way we like to grow it and the way we've been doing it for the last couple of years. So yeah, more to come, but we're gonna have to be a bit passionate before hearing all this.